Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. We're running a little bit late, but that's okay. Linda has a great topic, and we're going to hold to that topic as well. We're going to kind of stay inside of our time. So 15 minutes, go, Linda.
We're going to talk about setting boundaries. Sometimes not the easiest thing to do, but um, gotta gotta set those boundaries and not just set them, but honor them. And that's two different things. And it's important that we, for our own mental and physical well-being, as well as for our families and our loved ones, we just need to know what our boundaries are, honor those boundaries, and boundaries can mean different things to different people. So sometimes it's hard to decide what the boundary is or to realize that you need to set the boundary. Um, I know one of the jobs I had, it started off I was going to be the director of a new department, and I was going to oversee what was going on there. And so longer hours, no big deal. But then he started letting go a lot of other people in the company. I realized that I wasn't going to be overseeing the department, I was going to be the department. And he was looking at 24/7 coverage. And that was not something I was willing to do on my own. I was supposed to be overseeing it, not being it. And so I had to be real clear about my boundaries. And when the employer didn't agree with my boundaries, I found another job because I couldn't do 24/7 support and have a family and have go to school and have a life. And I wasn't getting paid anywhere near enough to do what they were asking. And I felt that they had been less than honest in the job announcement. And so I talked to my husband, and we decided that it was okay to walk away from that and find something else because it was not going to be conducive to our family life. And sometimes we feel trapped by needing the money and needing whatever security that job offers. But you have to look at the whole picture. Is it really offering you that security, or is it tearing your family apart? What's it doing?
Well, and let's start even not even on a family basis, but on a
Yeah.
self basis. What
Hmm.
sleep are you getting? How are you actually achieving what you need to achieve? And boundaries is a huge conversation. I know that I've been having it a lot this week due to the fact that I run a community. People connect to me 24. They connect to me all the time and ask questions, and I have to learn how to say, yeah, that's what this meeting is for, join us there and I can answer that, or yeah, go to this space and post that in the community so that the community to give you feedback. And but I also have to be on top of, I need to check the community a few times to make sure that there's conversation. um, but what are the gives and the takes, right? If you
Hmm.
are a coach or if you are providing a service for somebody, products are easy. People buy them, you ship them, you deal with stuff in between. But services, people
Hmm.
tend to think, okay, well, you're my coach, so I can talk to you all the time. And yeah, you can send us messages, but please don't expect that response back right away, or please understand we have other clients. Or please understand that your contract isn't covered in what you're asking. And those are huge things that I think a lot of times we come across as to not registering. Does that make sense?
It does. And as service providers, people in the service industry have a tendency to want to be, they're there because they want to serve. And so learning how to set the boundaries of when they should serve themselves versus serving everyone else becomes a little bit more of a touchy subject. And it's not that you're not there for your clients, but unless the work that you're doing is, if you don't do it, somebody dies, there isn't a reason for you to be on 24/7. And the clients that would expect that from you are probably not your best clients. And it's okay to release them to their highest good and send them on their way to someone who may be more willing to work in that realm. But, you know, if you're not a cardiac surgeon, if you're not a brain surgeon, if you're not working on the, if you're not a 911 operator on duty, you don't have to be on all the time, and it's okay to take the time for yourself and step away. You can't help anyone when you're so stressed and so overwhelmed, and you certainly can't help yourself. And you can't do the job that you've set for yourself to do. You just can't. Boundaries are extremely important. I know when I was doing website design, I just figured anybody that hired me, that was a good thing. And I had someone that just kept adding on to their requests. And when it was keeping me up until 2 in the morning, I was stressing how I was going to do it because it was something I didn't know how to do. I finally had to set the boundary, and because I was up, I sent them the email and said, I'm sorry, but I just, I can't do this, and I'll get you a refund. And because of the time, they thought, it was sent at 2 in the morning. They thought there was some kind of a catastrophe. Well, I didn't disillusion them on that point. But if they had pushed, I would have said, I'm returning your money. I don't have, that's outside the contract, and I do not have the ability to do that. So someone who can. But I gave them their money back. So, and
And
for me, I needed to do that. It was interfering with my ability to function in all of the areas of my life.
yeah. And that's really important. You have to understand these are the contracts, and that's the foundation, right? I
Mhm,
made this contract. And sometimes you might make a contract, you might look at it, you might think it's great, and then somebody finds loopholes or somebody finds little ways in. And so then the next contract is a better contract. It has
mhm,
better boundaries, it has better terms. And a lot of that is trial and error. A lot of that is just stating different things. Have other people read things that you're contracting out so that they're aware, so that you get do you see loopholes here? How do you think you can manipulate my contract? How do you think you can budge through my boundaries? But even then, when you have it in writing, that gives you a spot, right? That says, "Oh,
mhm.
hey, per the contract, this is where we're at." So it gives you a face. It gives you that. Remember back in the day, talk to the
Yeah.
hand, because
Yep, yep, yep. Talk to the hand.
talk to the contract. It gives you that space. However, there's times that we ourselves are reluctant to put up the talk to the contract,
Mhm,
talk to the hand, talk to we tend to get reluctant in that space as well. And here is something that I really, really one, and Sarah's gonna watch this and she's gonna be all, she's gonna get on me because she's my accountability person. She's my me. But when you're looking at your boundaries and when you're looking at your things, what do you have to do? I started working overnight so that I could just get some peace. And then I readjusted some scheduling and I gave myself Fridays. And I would love to say that that's awesome. But last Friday, we had a client who was doing a live. It's their first time. I had to be there for them and not where I needed to be for me. Could I have been like, "Oh, we're not gonna" No, I'm not mean. Right? And it's not like that client always asks for things outside of the time scope that they have. So you really have to look at what is this moment? And if it's my family or if I was dealing with kids, I would have had to tell them to contact somebody else. Like, there's those hard stops, those hard things. But being able to say, no, this isn't what is in our contract, or no, I've had to let clients go because they'll
Mhm.
show up. They hire me to help them be accountable in their business, but then every time that they show up, well, I'm doing this, or I'm doing this, or I'm working on this. I love that you're working on those things. But coming here to tell me that you were too busy to do the things you hired me to help you do means that you're not ready for me. I
And
can
it's wasting
continue to take your
both of your
money, but
time.
it's not gonna work. Right.
Yeah, and you know, that's part of, I think, what you do is teaching them, you know, and to recognize, maybe I signed up for this and it's not the right time for me, and then to release you both because
Yeah.
you don't want to. We're our own worst enemies most of the time, and we fight ourselves much more than we fight anybody else. And we fight our boundaries, we fight our limiting beliefs, and we buy into our limiting beliefs instead of fighting those. We should fight those. And sometimes you just need to shut the world out and concentrate on you for a little bit. What do you need to move forward? What do you need to feel better? What do you need to take care of yourself? And if that means putting up those boundaries, that's a big part of it. That's a big part of self-care. It's a big part of how you perform at your best.
Yeah.
It's making sure that you leave that space for that.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a huge thing that people have to remember is, where are you? What are you doing? It's important, and it's important to have time for yourselves.
Mhm.
And it's
And to
important to not wear yourself down into the ground.
and to know when something is coming that's gonna need that time. I've got a friend whose nephew is in the battle of his life for cancer, and all of the things that have been scheduled for the next few weeks, everybody's just like, we're on hold because he needs to be there with us, and that's okay. I can't imagine being that one person that says, well, you said, yeah,
Right.
and you need to be there for your family.
You have to
I
be there for your family. And
You
that's
have
the
to
thing,
be,
right?
yeah,
Is
for both of them, right?
if I'm taking that on for myself and for everything that I'm doing, why can you not take that on for you and yourself? Why is it that why do I have to build a boundary, but then if that happened to you, why would you expect me to respect you with that if you can't respect me with it, right? There's a huge there's a lot of controversy between parents and non-parents.
Yeah,
Sometimes non-parents are great aunts, uncles, like they get the kid thing, they just don't want the kid thing. But sometimes people who don't have children are like, well, your children can have the other, like there's controversy between, how much time do you
yeah,
spend on kids, and it's definitely not one that we have here, because kids, family, it doesn't matter.
yeah,
I mean, we've all taken time to take care of people, things, ourselves. But that's something that a lot of people, until they crash and burn, I don't think that they can grasp it, that you have to have that time.
And after you've crashed and burned, it's hard to get back up. I mean, we do, but
yeah, it's
so
definitely
it's just
difficult.
part of taking care of yourself to make sure that you can be the best for your work, for your family, for yourself. And you start with yourself first. You have to,
Yeah,
so that you can spread
exactly.
that. Very good. I lost your. I can't hear you now.
You should be able to hear me now.
Yes.
I was multitasking. Sorry, everybody. I was multitasking this morning, but I appreciate everybody. Linda, I appreciate you. Everybody, go create some space for your boundaries and all of your things, and we will see you all later. Thank you so much for an amazing day.
Thanks for joining in. See you next week.